So moving on to the hip. When we assess our clients, while we do a lot of different tests, we look for three very specific aspects of their hip range of motion. We want to look at hip adduction, we want to look at hip intrarotation and hip extension, because if we can't access these motions, we're going to see a pretty significant effect on our ability to stabilize the hip joint and perform skilled movements because of a limitation in mobility. The first test that I'm going to show you that we do, it's a variation of an Ober test. Typically, a lot of folks will look at this as a test for IT band shortness. We're actually looking at it simply as a function of hip adduction, and I'm going to go ahead and run the test here so you can see it. And this is just a matter of lining up the hip joints so they're right on top of each other so you don't get a false positive or a false negative. And so what we're going to see is a limitation in the ability to adduct the hip. And what's happening there is, and you can see him bouncing it there, he's actually bumping into the acetabulum, the inferior posterior aspect of the acetabulum, because the pelvis is a little anteriorly rotated on the left side. And so rather than looking at this from an IT band perspective, what we want to do is look at it from a hip joint perspective. And we're going to show you some exercises that we use to actually realign the hip joint and realign the pelvis that allow us to access that normal adduction that we need for normal hip function.